Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine. So in the last class, we started chapter 8, Vital Villages, Thriving Towns. And in today's topic, we are going to cover all these important subtopics, finding out about cities, stories, travelers, cultures and archaeology, coins, cities with many functions, crafts and craftspersons, and of course a closer look Arikamedu. I'll talk about the map also. Where exactly is it located? So let's get started with finding out about cities, stories. How do we know more about it? So what happens is, guys, of course, people started to live in the cities because things evolved. So how do we know what kind of a lifestyle they have? You might have learned with me about Jatakas. Jatakas, they are voluminous literature books that are related to the birth of Gautam Buddha. In different forms, it's related to the birth of Gautam Buddha. So there, a lot of people, the ordinary people, they started to talk of Jatakas as they started to introduce themselves to this new form of religion. And there are Jataka stories that talk about the kind of people who lived back then, how poor they were, how rich they were. And also we get to know more about the city life, because we see a lot of sculptures made back then. Of course, the people were way too talented. They were all craftsmen back then. We had many, if not all. So you can see these sculptures being set up, being formed by them. So these sculptures talk more about the lifestyles people had back there in towns, in villages, or maybe in forest. These sculptures are not only those statues, but also we find a lot of decorated railings, pillars, or gateways that have been visited by the people and have been designed beautifully. Because 2500 years ago, I also talked about it during the session of Mahajanpads. Right? And if you've missed it, please watch the replay to the session. So during the time of Mahajanpads, there was a place that was usually fortified. People did not have this kind of a lifestyle at least, but people started to live together. It was fortified, huge pillars, huge stones were used, bricks was used to fortify it. So life in city was more or less like we have nowadays, but it's very important to understand how it all started. So when Mahajanpad started to come into existence, when there was a capital that was fortified, when city life started to evolve, back then we see not only fortification of the walls, but also archaeologists have found evidence of use of these earthen pots. These earthen pots have been found. They've not only found these earthen pot, but also another kind of material that's called ceramic. So these earthen pots, they've been arranged in rows, one over the other, or ceramic pots, they've been arranged in rows like this, one over the other. So this gives evidence. In all the houses, the archaeologists have found evidence to these ceramic or earthen pots. That gives them some idea that these might have been used as drains. They might have been used to dump the garbage, or the people might have been using it as toilets. Yeah, of course, it's true. So giving the evidence of this talks a lot about, gives us a clue of how people used to live, how ordinary people used to live, because finding bricks of that time, the roof of the houses might have been blown away by different natural forces, the thatch, the roof. It might not have survived for that long, but these things might have continued to find their existence to quite some time. Also, there's been evidence of sailors. After the fortification of walls, we find the evidence of sailors traveling from distant parts of the world to India. Maybe for some export, maybe for some import reasons, but yes, we found sailors, and the minute they leave the place, they often go back to their nation or leave a detailed account. So we found account given by some Greeks who visited India and then they wrote about it. Also, apart from these sailors, apart from fortification of walls, apart from the lifestyle that people had, apart from the sculptures, apart from the designs that we found around the railings or the pillars, there were special kind of coins that archaeologists have found. Several and thousands of these coins have been found. They are all punched coins. Yes, we didn't have the currency that we use nowadays, but they were all these coins. They are called punched coins, having one mark or the other. Right? Now let's try to focus more on this city life. I know you guys are very excited after you saw this pic. Let's try to focus on the city life. So before I talk of city life, I want to show you on map a very important location. Here. Can you see this Mathura? It's in Uttar Pradesh. Right to the heart of the nation, we've got Mathura. This location is very, very important. Now, why Mathura is very important? There are several reasons to it. Around 2500 years ago, we find that it became a very important center. Why? Because it lies right in the mid. If a traveler has to go from north to south, if a traveler has to travel from west to east, so it's right at the heart of the crossroads, north, south, east, west. We also find evidence of fortification here. Huge pillars being erected, fortified walls, huge walls for defense purpose. And the material, because a lot of craftsmen might have lived here, fine sculptures have been observed. So this place, the people living here, they were supplied food and other resources from the adjacent areas, maybe by the forest people or other people living around. It was so important that around 2000 years ago, one of the most important kings, Kushanas, who covered this area, they made it its second capital. They had Begram as its first capital, then Taxila also as their capital. But soon they made Mathura as their capital because they wanted to expand their empire. So Mathura has not only a significance related to trade perspective, but also it has importance when we talk of Kushan Empire. And also, as you know, this place Mathura is the birthplace of Lord Krishna. It's very important. We consider it for some religious purpose. It's called the Janam Bhumi, where Lord Krishna was born. One religious perspective. We find a lot of Buddhist monasteries here. Please find the difference. Buddhists live in monasteries. Jains are associated with shrines. So Jainas, they lived in shrines. All of this, we found it here in Mathura. Not only the existence of monasteries and shrines, but also a lot of stuff written on the inscriptions, in the form of inscriptions. People have engraved it in some pillar or some form of artwork has been displayed that gives us that engraving message of what people used to devote here. People used to travel to Mathura for many purposes. So what gifts they used to travel, it's all written in the form of inscriptions here. They might have offered gifts to the people living in monasteries, living in shrines. And these inscriptions gives us the idea what kind of people lived in Mathura. They were all kind of people. Yes, all kind of people, because it's a religious place, a very important place when you talk of trade. So we've got all different kind of talented people living here, starting with goldsmith, talking of blacksmiths and weavers. They also lived here because a lot of people started to come up and stay city life started to evolve. Basket makers, they are also there. Garland makers, garland means all those flower necklace that you see. So they were also making those flower necklaces. And also people making perfumes also existed here. Yes, isn't it interesting? Okay. Now there's an interesting fact that I need to tell you. There were so many craftsmen here, but we find a very special type of evidence related to the craft. Very special. It is called northern black polished ware. We find it nowhere else but only in North India. The only part of the subcontinent where we find it. So the archaeologists, they found this evidence. And they found more about the life of the people in the form of text. I told you earlier we used to maintain manuscripts on palm leaves, on the special bark of the tree that was found only and only in Himalayan region. And at this time we get to know from these manuscripts not only this northern black polished ware was important, but also cloth was of utmost importance. I'll tell you that there were many important centers from where this cloth trade was also taking place. For example, in the north you find Varanasi. You might have read about Varanasi also nowadays also. So yes, Varanasi, that place in Uttar Pradesh. And there's another important center where both men and women used to work. It's Madurai in south in Tamil Nadu. So when I talk of trade, when I talk of important centers relating to cloth manufacturing, Madurai and Varanasi provide us the perfect clue of what people used to do back then. Right? So different craftsmen we've got. We've learnt about northern black polished ware, generally found in the north of India. A special kind of talent that people had. It had a metallic shine on it. Black surface with metallic shine. I'll show you somewhat like this. Can you see exactly? There's some kind of special kind of shine. That was how talented the craftsmen were back then. Right? And I'll talk more about it in the next class. I'll talk more about the people working. I'll talk more about the craftsmen and the merchants in the next class. But in case you like this session, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.